Which is the best conference in all America? And to be clear, we're talking about Power Fives. While we all love a good group of five story, LSU showed us exactly how UCF's Cinderella story ends when they play anybody of substance, not from lower Alabama. Looking at you, Auburn fans. Now, the other 2017 national champs showed us exactly what you can't expect them to do, which is take down an SEC West team twice in a row. We're talking about big boys now. We're talking about the rump shakers, the room makers, the money men who make it rainmakers. We're talking about the corn liquor runners and the revenue man. We're talking about $100 million plus buy-in just to sit down at the poker table, fam. We're talking about the blue chip recruiting classes. While you might think that having one 5-star is enough, I'm talking about blue chip recruiting classes with so many 5-star players, you have to check the prescription on your glasses to make sure that you have this right. We're talking about Ohio State, Michigan, and OU Texas at it again. We're talking about big noon kickoff and a good old-fashioned battle for a playoff spot. And that's before we get to the 14th consecutive year that the SEC has crowned and been crowned king of the NFL draft, my dear. We're talking about 63 picks in 7 rounds. That's a little under a third of each round drafted out of the South where it goes down. The Bayou Bengals led all squads with 14 draft selections in 2020, breaking the SEC record for most by any team in any yearly section. That tied 2004 Ohio State for the most by any program in any year, I reckon. And we can't talk about the Buckeyes boasting more NFL draft picks than any other program ever. But, let's think about it and think about it this way. When we're talking about this thing called conference supremacy, not to be confused with the Confederacy, a little more cleverness is needed and warranted. If we're talking about the best, then let's consider who tattooed champion across their chest. For that, we can start with conference winners who have been selected for 4-team playoffs, this little thing called the college football playoff, and those are the best. Yeah, Oklahoma, as the Big 12 champ, has got the nod 4 out of 5 times, and the ACC, though, has, along with the SEC champ and the SEC runner-up, beat them down. You can argue that the Pac-12 deserves its due, but the score was Ohio State 42, Oregon 20, I remind you, and Michigan State made the invitational, but let's not act like Sparty belonged in their sectional. And that's where the Big Ten's claim ends. Remember, we're talking about the best, not the one-offs like UCF again. Yes, you can crack on the watered-down ACC, but that's 2 national titles behind Clemson in 4 years that I see. What's wild is that's the same number of national titles as Alabama in the playoff player, but then there's LSU, Duncan, and like the real Death Valley Tigers, Duncan, to punctuate the Ed Orgeron era. Now, the math says it's the SEC's world, and we just live in it. The ACC thrives in it, and the Pac-12's one shining moment is present in it. But as for the Big 12, just check the college football playoff brackets. The Big 12 is the only Power 5 conference without a representative in the national title game in the playoff era ever. There's only one from it anyway. And that's how we do the math. That's how we got here. The conference power rankings go SEC 1, ACC 2, Big 10 3, Pac-12 4, and then the Big 12. 10 divided by 2 is 5 out of 5. But as we've said in Norman for 20 years, wait until next year. Till then, Big 12 is the worst Power 5 conference in America. The SEC, as you all know, done with this video.